Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a brand new podcast on YouTube. It's gonna be massive, this. So if you're here now, just remember you were one of the first people to see this. Tuesday Night Live with me and Toby, everybody's favourite duo. I think I put in the description, or at least my favourite duo. So welcome to Toby. Say hello.
Evening, everyone.
And hopefully you can hear him all right. I have fiddled around with the settings. And yeah, this is just going to be hopefully weekly podcast. But we'll see about that. Talking about all things from gaming to sport to film and TV to whatever we want to talk about. And I think it's going to be a load of fun. We obviously have done Ashes reviews. And I think that's all we've done together, isn't it? I don't think we did anything else. Obviously, we've done FM drafts.
That went really well.
We've already killed off two of the members of that draft league, so come to us at your peril. But anyway, this is going to be a pilot episode. We're just going to try out some stuff, and we'll see how it goes. And hopefully, a few people turn up. I can see King's already here, so a big hello to him. And we've got 5 people watching at the minute, so that's more than just me and you, Toby. There's actually people out there listening to us. Evening to John O'Martin, John O the 12th there. We've got the stream regulars in. And yeah, as you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about sort of 3 main topics. We're going to introduce ourselves. We're then going to debate Wenger in or out, and we're also going to do a little review on FM18 for this first week, just to get used to this whole podcasting business. So, yeah, do you fancy introducing yourself, Tobias?
Well, before we start,
okay, here we go.
I think there's a massive tradition that we need to do, just to kind of, like, I've already done it. I can see myself doing it on screen. Do you have a drink nearby you?
Yes.
So, to start this off in style, so we both take a sip from our drink.
Okay, mine's the classic Capri.
You've already bloody done it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Have you done it?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to look a count now. I don't know. Right. Did anybody hear that? Anyway, so for anyone watching, I'm not very good at introducing myself, but my name is Toby. I'm 17, massive Liverpool fan, big fan of Formula 1, a lot of types of motorsport as well, big fan of cricket. And obviously a big fan of Football Manager. I've been playing Football Manager since roughly about FM 2012. I can't say I'm as dedicated as some of these other people who've played it since Championship Manager. I don't quite go about that far. But I've been, regularly playing it for maybe 4 years since FM 15. I think I clocked my most hours in FM 15. And obviously, if you guys are aware, I'm a daily FM18 YouTuber at the moment. And, debating sport and all that is really a daily thing in my life, whether that be at sick form or at home or, events or even on Skype with Joe, that sort of thing. I have lots of conversations about football, not so much about F1, but really football is the main thing. And I'm just really looking forward to doing this. I don't know about you, Joe, but I am really, really, really looking forward to doing this. And if you do want to subscribe, any chance you might want to subscribe to my channel, it's down in the description. And it is Toby King, just to make sure we get that straight. I don't want any confusions in the comments, but we've got 10 people watching. That's really gone up quickly.
We weren't 5, and that literally just jumped to 10 instantly. That was really weird, but
yeah,
it's gone down to 8 now. So
it's because you're talking. As soon as I start talking again, it'll go up again. But obviously, that's me really. You'll get to know me a little bit more as we go on if you've never heard of me before, but. Yeah, I mean, hopefully if you come to Joe's channel, you probably know who Joe is, but, just out of the curiosity that you might not be, you might as well introduce yourself as well.
Well, you never know. They might have come from your channel, Toby, because you did tweet it out before. But, yeah, as Toby said, if you are new around here, I am Joe, or CaptainGoodspeed, and I've been doing YouTube for about 2.5 years. I'm massively into games. I'm into a few sports. Tennis I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of snooker as well. Formula 1. and sort of I keep up to date with football. I don't tend to watch football, but I really do keep up to date with it on the BBC. And cricket, I used to be into it. I'm not so much now, but I'll happily talk about it and play games on it. I don't think there's any other sports I like, but if there is, I'll let you know. I do like the golf when it's on as well. Once you know Joe, you never forget him. Exactly. And yeah, so Football Manager is a game that I've played pretty much every day for the last 12 years or so. But
12 years?
Yeah.
You've played FM every day for 12 years?
Not every day. I said pretty much every day. I used to have the Championship Manager 2006, I think it was, on PS2, and that's where it really started. And the many hours of just wasting away playing Football Manager, Championship Manager, I should say, and until FM18 when I got my first one on the PC. There we go. That's one of the ones I've got on my shelf. It wasn't the first one I played though, so yeah. So FM08 was my first Football Manager, and the rest is history. There's no point really talking about that. But I'm into loads of different games, from Call of Duty to Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, Football Manager, loads of stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll go through with collections at some point, but not today.
Not today. I think we're both quite into gaming, but I don't really think FM. I don't think restrict us is the right word, but because we play on FM a lot, it means there's not much time for other games. Obviously, on both our channels we play other games, but in terms of my situation, I've got a stack of PS2 games that I haven't even probably put into the disc drive yet. I've got The Sims 4 on the computer. I've actually just bought City Skylines as well.
I bought that a couple of weeks ago, actually.
And I might play that at some point. So, gaming is definitely something we're going to talk about here. And, we just come up with the idea. We're just going to base it off sport, gaming, general news, current news as well. And what's the other one?
Film and TV.
TV and film, sometimes. Sometimes we do actually sit in bed or, recline on our gaming chairs and watch a good TV show or film. But, we're nearly at 10 past now. People have had enough time to get in. Shall we just start the main debate?
Yeah.
The way it's going to work, we're going to talk about our first debate, which you might well clearly know, for about 20 minutes. Then roughly about 20 minutes talking about our second debate. Then you guys will have a little chance for us to answer your questions. And then maybe even, I think this is fair enough, Joe, if the topic is really good in terms of it sparked a lot of debate, we might consider it for one of our main topics next week, provided we actually know enough about it to talk about it. So I think we ought to get straight into it with the Wenger in or out argument. Now, I don't think Joe actually said this if you don't know Joe's, but Joe is a Arsenal fan of sorts. And we are both, before we start, Wenger in. But I think I could argue both sides. So, as an Arsenal fan, because I think it's integral to get to an Arsenal fan first. If you had to sum up Wenger, the Wenger in argument in maybe 2 minutes, what would you say?
I mean, he's been a fantastic manager for Arsenal, hasn't he? The last couple of years aside, you could argue the last 10 years aside, but he's changed the way English football works, and not in a way that sort of Alex Ferguson had a lot of success, but I think Arsene Wenger changed the sort of philosophy of buying in unproven players and just turn them into absolute superstars. And he hasn't had the success with that in recent years, and I think that's as much down to the way the transfer market has gone to anything else. But the amount of trophies he won in such a dominant period for Man United, I think it's very sort of understated thing with Arsene Wenger. I think a lot of people forget that how dominant Man United were, and Arsenal were the ones to break that. You could argue Blackburn Rovers won a title, and obviously Chelsea in the mid 2000s as well. But Arsenal were the first ones to really challenge Man United in a time when they could have won 15 of the 16 Premier League titles or whatever, and I think he'll always go down in history for that. Obviously, at the minute, his legacy is being torn apart, really. But I think in 20, 30 years, people will look back and think we were a bit harsh on him. So
yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think the problem is with the Premier League, a little bit like all sports, is that 9 seasons out of 10, you're always going to have a dominant force. I mean, look at this season. Manchester City have been sublime. But the one season maybe out of the last 10 seasons where there wasn't a dominant force was when Leicester won the league title. And that year really was when all the top sides are poor. But in any other year, there's been one top side that have been dominant. And I just don't think Arsenal have maybe had the luck, other teams might have spent more, other teams might have done more. I know in previous years fans are getting a bit annoyed about Arsenal not spending more money, but look at this year, they spent nearly a combined £120 million on 2 strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette. We'll talk a little bit about them later and how good Lacazette's been. But I just think that Wenger is very harshly treated in that, because there's quite a bit of hostility at the club, I'd say, in between the fans. People saying he needs to go and people saying he needs to not go. I have said for a while, and will continue to say, as soon as Arsene Wenger resigns, sacks, leaves, however he goes, Arsenal will go downhill, because I just don't feel that another manager. Basically, what Arsenal have got to do is spend big, because they've got. I think they've got a good strike force now, and I genuinely think that the sale of Sanchez was good for them, because Sanchez was one of those players who was, if you wanted to talk about the FM scenario, he was one of the key players who I guess could be causing a little bit of aggro in the squad. And now you've got Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, and actually I think Mkhitaryan's a really good player as well. Welbeck, if he turns up, sometimes a Wobie. I'm trying to think of other players who plays for Arsenal. I'll tell you who a really integral player is, and I don't know about you, Joe, but Jack Wilshere. I mean, Jack Wilshere, on his day, is a world beater. And I didn't see this match, but years ago, he ripped apart Barcelona's midfield and defence. But, ever since then, he hasn't quite recaptured that form. And I don't know whether a new manager would do that. And then you come on to the argument, who would you replace Wenger with? I mean, there's quite a few managers, and some of the fans have said, we want Ancelotti. And I just don't get that at all. Because you are just replacing someone who is an old man with another old man. And that just does not seem logical to me. But then on the other side of the argument, some fans are saying, we want Eddie Howe, we want someone who's young. But he's inexperienced. He's got no experience of that sort of stature of club, that sort of spending power, and that much pressure. I mean, at Bournemouth, there isn't really any pressure on him, is there? I mean, there's a sort of pressure, but certainly not as much as Arsenal. If Arsenal lose a game, it's Wenger every time they lose. And I think it's a trouble of who you're replacing with. But then one day you have got to come to the fact that Wenger's going to leave. But transfer policy has been weak in terms of. But I don't think that was Wenger's fault when they had to get rid of the likes of Van Persie back in the day when they didn't have the finance. And they basically had to get rid of the full first team squad, didn't they? Really, most of their big players. So, do you think it's took till now for Wenger to actually, rebuild and say, look, we've got to actually spend some money now and put some contingency plans in place for the club?
The thing is, on the financial side, you sort of think 10 years ago was when it all started going downhill, and that was when they moved to the Emirates Stadium and they had 300-400 million pounds of debt to pay off, and we didn't have the TV deals we have now, so it was sort of, they didn't spend any money. They sold a couple of players and just brought in the gate receipts and put them straight into the debt of the stadium. But it's come to a point now where they can't use that excuse anymore because the stadium's paid for. And I think you've seen that since maybe when Ozil joined. I think that was the first massive signing for Arsenal. I mean, it's not even massive now. 40 million is nothing, really. You'll see the likes of West Ham and maybe even Stoke spending 40 million, in the summer probably. So It depends which way you look at it. I don't think Arsenal can compete with the likes of Man United or City or Chelsea in terms of finances. And one of the things that we really were relying on was this group of young players coming through, the likes of Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Wilshere, as you mentioned, Ramsey, Kieran Gibbs. I don't know, all of these players that have been coming through for years, and you're saying, oh, just one more year and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
But it's come to the point now where yes, Ramsey's a really good midfielder. Kieran Gibbs is gone. Walcott's gone. Oxlade-Chamberlain's gone. All these young players that we were resting our hopes on have gone now, and now it's sort of over to the likes of Bellerin and Iwobi or whoever you want to look at. But it's the same every year. We get to February and Arsenal all of a sudden are out of all the competitions. I mean, this year it's been even worse. I think January they lost 3 games in a row or something. So they're well off the pace of the top 4. Luckily, Chelsea, I mean everybody except Man City are playing pretty meh this season, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing going for Arsenal. Even though they're having their worst season under Wenger, they're still only about 6 points off the top 4. So, they put together a late season run like they usually do, and who knows, they'll probably be in the top 4. Chelsea will probably finish 6th. I don't really know what's happening with them. We do have a bit of chat activity. I don't know whether you want to touch on any of that yet or whether we want to leave that till later. But there's a bit of discussion about Wenger going on in there. And something you said about who replaces Arsene Wenger. I think that's going to be the ultimate problem. With Alex Ferguson, people were always looking at David Moyes really to replace him. And, I think Moyes did the best he could in that situation. I think
Moyes was very underrated as Manchester United manager.
Yeah, I think
he was the scapegoat, wasn't he? After Ferguson.
Yeah. I think given Moyes a couple of more years, and he would have got them back into where they are now.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're as good as the other teams around them now. Getting off on a tangent here. That's the thing. I don't think there's a like-for-like replacement with Arsene Wenger. And maybe that's what we need. We need something completely different and just completely change the philosophy of the club when Arsene Wenger leaves. Because if you just try to replicate what Wenger did, then it's always going to go downhill. But if you go in there and try and turn the club up from top to bottom, spend big, bring in a whole new backroom staff, then you might build something for the future, which I think is probably going to be the best decision. But I just don't see who's going to do that at the moment. I think Guardiola was the one they had their eyes on, and obviously he's at City now. And as Arsenal drop further down the table, they become less of an attractive proposition, don't they? So
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, well, this is an interesting one. So what do you think of this? Paul Merson, obviously a respected opinion, said that when Wenger leaves or when Conte leaves, whatever happens first, Arsenal should get straight on the phone to Antonio Conte, which I was a little bit surprised at him saying that, because I would actually agree that Conte, I genuinely think Conte is a good manager. I just think he's not getting the rub of the green at Chelsea at the moment. But would he be right for Arsenal? I don't really know. I'm just trying to think. I mean, he won a title with Chelsea. Would Arsenal fans prefer a manager a bit like Conte? It seems he's similar to Mourinho in that, you win a title one year and then it's sort of a little bit downhill from then. But I don't know. I just seriously, I cannot think who would be the manager. I mean, Jono saying that Everton under Moyes were incredible. And I mean, Everton finishing 4th on that one season when they didn't actually get Champions League qualification in the end. That's phenomenal. And the problem with Man United was, and it'll be exactly the same. In fact, it'll be even more so with Arsenal, is that Fergie left. When they'd won the league title, but in reality, it was an aging squad. You've got players like Anderson who were still there. I think you've probably got Rafael and Fabio, those brothers, still there, and they're clearly not Man United quality. And Moyes had to deal with all that. And I think the problem is with Wenger going, if somebody comes in and doesn't improve quickly, then they're going to get the boot as well. Mm-hmm. Because Arsenal fans want a quick fix. And it's not going to be a quick fix at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. When Wenger leaves, someone needs to come in and say, look, I'm going to be here for 10 years. It's not going to be good from day one. We're going to have to take a few years. We're going to have to reform the squad a little bit. We might have to wait, as you say, for a few youngsters to come through, but not, as somebody put earlier, put all their eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. Because it feels like that's what they've done a little bit now with Aubameyang. And that's what they did with Lacazette as well. Mm-hmm. And Lacazette hasn't worked, as it stands anyway, because, well, let's not talk about the game on Saturday, but he hasn't been brilliant. Mm. How and why they sold Giroud, I don't know, because Giroud is, I would probably say, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, as aerial ability wise, and for 15 million, I mean, that's nothing nowadays. I just could not believe that.
I just don't think Wenger fancies Giroud. It's much like Walcott, when he gave Walcott a chance up top a few years ago, he scored 21 goals that season, and then the next season he just shoved him out wide again, and it's been the same with Giroud. He scored over 10 goals, maybe even over 15 goals every season he's been at Arsenal, and he's still never been a regular, and it is baffling, and I see why there's so many people against Arsene Wenger, because he keeps making these very strange decisions sometimes where where certain players will not be played to the best of their ability, like Jack Wilshere going out on loan to Bournemouth, and the thing with Wilshere though is that he's been injured a lot, and that's fair enough. But it was the same with Thomas Rosicky. Like, the last few years he was playing for Arsenal, he was just a fringe player, but he was brilliant when he played. So I can see why... just destroying me desk. I can see why a lot of Arsenal fans are a bit cheesed off with Arsene Wenger. Because he does make some strange decisions, but you don't know what happens on that training ground.
No, you don't. That's true. That's true.
And we've seen it very publicly with Alexis Sanchez this year. Has that been happening with other people? And Giroud being sold for 15 million, a very strange one. But I mean, I've just seen you utilising your mod abilities there. That was good. I don't know. But Lacazette, I think he will turn out all right, but he'll probably be put out on the wing before he does anything. So, Aubameyang, I think is a good sign, and he scored a goal, didn't he? In his first game, I believe. So I think he'll do all right, but he's not going to be the solution to everyone's problems. The problems are deeper at Arsenal, unfortunately. Giroud followed the lineage of Henry, Van Persie and Bergkamp, and fans could not deal with the fact that Arsenal's main striker was not absolutely the world-class banger-in for fun forward. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Giroud... The thing is, I think people are harsh on Giroud. I think I agree with you, Toby, that he's one of the better strikers in the Premier League. So, it's the way it goes.
I mean, all managers make mistakes. Take, obviously not Mourinho himself, but take Man United, for example. Obviously, Man United sold Pogba to Juventus for $1 million, 5-6 years ago. I bet they regret that a little bit now, buying him. managers just make mistakes sometimes, and Mourinho's not one of them to admit to it. But we won't come to that. But Wenger is a very, I don't mean this in a bad way. Wenger is a very stubborn old man. He will not change his ways now. But there are a lot of questionable things, especially this season that he's done. Starting with Giroud. Secondly, Chamberlain going to Liverpool. And I think Chamberlain is starting to be a lot of a better player when he went to Liverpool. As a fan, I thought, why the hell have they signed him when he came? But actually, Klopp has got him really working, and he works hard. And I just wonder with Wenger whether he doesn't give the players that motivation there. Players maybe want to go and play for the Klopps, the Guardiolas, the Mourinhos, and aren't really interested in playing for the Wengers. Why would you, as a player, why would you want to go and play for not a declining club, but for someone who isn't playing attractive, I wouldn't say attractive football, because Man United aren't playing attractive football, but not football that's winning games. And that's the thing, Walcott's gone to Everton and it seems to be better for him. And there's a lot of players who seem to have the ability in the Arsenal squad, but actually they're clearly not utilising it because all the players are either leaving or, they're sat on the bench. And I don't get that. Arsenal, they've signed the likes of Welbeck, who, Welbeck's not a good player. Welbeck's rubbish. I don't think Iwobi should be starting games, semi-regularly, especially say sporadically. I don't think he should be, because I don't think he's good enough yet. I mean, he's only, 21, 22. And I just don't think he's Arsenal quality yet. But it's very tricky with Arsenal, and it's very tricky with all clubs, It's a little bit like on Football Manager, when you're at a club and you think, well, I've got players who aren't the quality I need, but might be in 2 years. But then the problem is, if that player isn't there you want them to be in 2 years, then you've got to panic buy someone. And I think that's the problem that Wenger's had to have. He's bought Lacazette in. Obviously, it's a much shorter lead time, if you like, of 6 months. And it hasn't worked, really. So he's bought Aubameyang in as a panic buy. Now, he's a really good signing, Aubameyang. I didn't think it would happen. I must admit, I wouldn't have thought he'd have signed. So, credit to Wenger and his team for pulling that one off. But I think we need to conclude pretty quickly. But I think maybe this season may be a good time to go, because he's setting up contingency plans now, and it feels like contingency plans. It feels like, look, he wants to sort the squad out before he doesn't want to leave the next manager in the lurch, and I think that's very respectable of him, because he could just go, look, I'm off now. But he's bought Aubameyang, he's bought Lacazette. Of course, we don't know what the chairman and his directors have had to involve in that, but as long as they keep players, or else all signed a new contract, hopefully Wilshere will stay. And I think that if Wenger leaves in the summer and they bring an appropriate manager in, Arsenal will go on the up. But if he stay, I don't know. I mean, we can all look in hindsight and all that. I personally didn't think Manchester City would dominate so much this season, but there we go. But I'm very much Wenger in, but I can see the point of him going out. And the problem is he won't go, the club won't sack him, and if neither of those happens, he's not going to leave. So he needs to make either the honourable decision to walk away, or the club need to look, we're not going to fire you, but we are going to change your job role to maybe a director of football, a club director. Because I think he deserves to be inside the club. But if we look at the Man United angle, do not put him as involved as Ferguson, because that was a disaster. Ferguson in the back line and in the chairman's room, it just doesn't work. You don't play intelligent football and lose 3-1 to Swansea. Well, Jamie, you don't play intelligent football and lose 1-0 to Rafa's men instead. But I think Arsene Wenger, it's one of them you could go on about for days, because it's one of them that you can't really resolve. You can't really say, well, he should go, because it's Arsenal's decision at the end of the day.
And he's going to stay. Like, at the end of the day, as much as we debate Wenger in or out, he is going to stay. And, he signed a 2-year contract last year, and I think he'll honour that at least. I think he will be there until the end of next season. And then, I think Arsenal will finish about 6th this year. Next year's a big one. If they get off to another terrible start, he might just walk away before the contract ends. But we also have to remember that the transfer window closes before the season starts next year. So Arsenal get off to a bad start. Wenger leaves. The new manager comes in. They're not going to have a transfer window. So, but yeah, just round it off with the last point. I think Arsene Wenger will stay until 2019, and then I think he'll look at it then and probably sign another 2-year contract. I don't think he's going anytime soon, but yeah. I'm Wenger in. I don't think Arsenal will do any better with another manager. That's
agreed.
Yeah.
I agree on this one. I'm sure in the future we'll have a lot of stuff we don't agree about, but on this issue we do agree. So I think we're going to wipe the slate clean of that. If you've just come along for that, thank you very much. If you're not interested in the next bit, that's absolutely fine. But if you are, stick around. We're going to be doing a little review of a game that we play quite regularly. 2018. Something that I've played today, Joe's played today, I played yesterday, Joe played. In fact, we play pretty much every day. And if you don't play Football Manager, obviously it's a game that Sega, Sports Interactive, all those sorts of companies have been developing for years. And every year, unlike FIFA, you could argue, FM gets better every year.
And it changes a lot every year. FM.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's a lot of new features, particularly this year, and I think this year's been really good. If you don't know, there's been a new match engine this year, which has changed stuff quite a lot and made stuff more efficient. There is a new dynamics, which kind of introduces enhanced player relationships. You have the medical centre, which isn't really that much of a brilliant feature, but ho hum. And
Some
then you've got
people
the new
use
scout.
it a lot though, and that's.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Football Manager. You sort of play it the way you want to play it. I don't think there's a defined way to play Football Manager, and that's what makes it so interesting to play it every single day. Some people will say, well, how don't you get bored of it? It's because everybody does it differently, and
exactly.
You have to do different things with Football Manager. You can't just have the same tactic, the same players, play them every match, and you win, much like FIFA, where it's very user-based. The computer is deciding most of the things that happen in Football Manager. We're in control of 2% of it, and you have to try different things all the time to try and get stuff to work, and that's what's beautiful about Football Manager. But I don't know what your opinion is, but I find myself every year saying this one's the best one, probably because I'm playing it a lot. But I feel like this year that's especially true. I think they've done a lot of good changes, and I think it just feels like Football Manager has made that step up into being a top class game this year, and I think that's been shown in the fact that so many people are playing it, so many people are creating content on it, and I think 2018 has been the biggest year for Football Manager, certainly in the first couple of months. And me and you were suffering from that, sort of the saturation in the Football Manager market. If we did this 4 or 5 years ago, we'd be, doing daily content. We'd be probably 15, 20,000 subscribers. But the way it is now, it is a very saturated market, and we're all doing different things, and it is wonderful in the minute. Sorry for rambling.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I think the only real analogy I can bring, because it's my first year doing it on YouTube, so it's my first year playing it on a daily basis. I used to find that maybe before that I'd get points where I'd get a bit bored of the game. I'd go, I can't believe we bothered. Whereas I think doing it daily, you keep up, and I think the game moves quickly then. With FM, and it's always been the case, you go into it knowing you've got to be committed. What I mean by that is that it's not like FIFA. You can just, can't remember how long it really takes now, but I'd say a FIFA season probably takes a lot shorter time than FM. Whereas the funny thing in FM is you'll start the season, you'll get to about Christmas, then all of a sudden you've only got 10 games left, and then all of a sudden you're finished. And it's like, oh my God, that's gone really quickly. A lot of FM obviously depends on how quick your computer is. I think that's a big thing. But the good thing with FM this year is that I know someone who's got not a brilliant computer, and they're running it quite quick. I mean, I don't know about you, but the game seems a lot quicker this year than last year.
I disagree. And I don't know whether it's just me journeyman save, because I've got quite a lot of leagues loaded. but I mean, other saves are run quite quickly, but I have known Football Manager to go a lot quicker. But at the same time, for the amount of stuff that's in it, it runs damn quick. And once I was able to turn off that silly music at the start every time it started up, then it was a lot more of a satisfying experience. So, yeah, more people are playing it, so it must be a more accessible game this year than it usually is, because it is a damn hard game to get into, and it's a lot.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what we're going to. I know it's not a review, but we'll go over it quickly. I hate people who go on about realism with FM. You'll say to them, "I've signed such and stuff on FM." It's not realistic. Well, it's a different universe. It's not real, so it's not going to be realistic. I mean, I don't know about you, but I try and keep my signings maybe as realistic as possible. I look and think, would this player sign for the club in real life? To be honest, now you've got no idea.
I think most of the time it is pretty realistic, though. I think the reputation is very balanced and sort of it does reward you for, if you take, for example, Portsmouth. If you take Portsmouth to the top 4 in the Premier League, which Toby will do on his channel, so make sure you go and subscribe. If you take Portsmouth to the top 4 in the Premier League, you get the Champions League money. You are able to sign Champions League players, and I think that's fantastic. Whereas with FIFA, I often see the likes of Daniel Sturridge going to West Brom. Oh wait, that actually happened. The likes of Sergio Aguero going to Tottenham. Like that's not going to happen. As much as it could happen, it's not going to. Whereas in Football Manager, I don't think Tottenham would have a hope in hell of signing Sergio Aguero, and the likes of Man United would have to spend a lot of money to sign Harry Kane, which is representative of real life. But we've got a question about when the stream started. It started at 8 o'clock. It's just a pilot episode of a podcast, Jack. So it will be easy to watch after when it comes out after. You missed our little debate about Wenger in or out, and now we're doing a bit of an FM18 review. But no, I agree. So some people are annoying about Football Manager, and but it's like that with any game, in any sport. People talking about F1 saying, "Oh, it's boring. They're just going round in circles every lap," and it's just like, well, yes, they're going round in circles, but it's a bit more interesting than that. Or is it? Is it now? I don't know.
Well,
we'll debate that at some point, I'm pretty sure.
What would you say your favourite feature of the new game? Well, the new game, but what's your favourite feature in FM18? New feature.
New feature.
Yeah, I think there's really only 4 at a push. I mean, you've got the dynamics, the medical centre, which isn't really... Oh, I love the medical centre. The scouting, the new scouting, and the match engine as well.
Oh, this is difficult. I think the dynamics myself. I think the dynamics is my favourite thing, because it is something that managers have to manage. As weird as that sounds, it's something that if you lose the dressing room, you're going to get terrible results, and that's what you see in real life. And it's always been in the game, dynamics, and everybody knew if morale was terrible, you would do terrible. If you had a player that wanted to leave, they wouldn't perform for you. But now we've got it in the screen. We can see the friendships bonding and if you had all day to play Football Manager, you could create the perfect team. You really could, and I think that is fantastic about it, and I really do think dynamics is a really good addition. It's hard at times, especially early on in the save. I think when you haven't got much of a reputation, it is hard.
I think it's quite rewarding though, because
yes,
when you get it right, it really goes right. When you get it right. I mean, I had it right at Portsmouth at one point. The dressing room support was excellent. Managerial support was excellent. So, all the players had a positive relationship with me. They wanted to play for me and trusted me, which is quite reflective of real life. Whereas it's quite shocking actually how it can change quickly. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but I sold one of my highly influential players. Now, this completely broke the dressing room. Didn't decrease my managerial support, but the atmosphere in the dressing room went down. After selling this specific player, we lost 3 out of the next 5 games after going unbeaten for the first 5 games of the season. So that just shows how much selling a player who is influential makes. And actually, it puts a different what's the word? Not a perspective, but I'm trying to think now. But say you've got to sell a player, you have to. It's something else to take into account when you sell a player. How is this going to disrupt the squad? Is it going to be all right, or is it just disrupt the squad? And I think that's a brilliant thing because it's challenging. It's a risk thing. Is it going to disrupt the dressing room? Is it right? Is it not? Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the players actually get quite glad to get rid of people. But the dynamics, I think, is really good. The scouting feature, I don't really use much of the new scouting. I don't know about you. Really, the process of the new scouting is really you get scout reports and you can acknowledge players. You can get an analyst report. You can get a scout report. I just really play it how I've always played FM, to be honest. I'll search for players and get a scout report on them. I don't really do much more than that because I don't the one feature I do like is how you can set players who are interested in transfers or loans, because that then helps you get the riff-raff, if you like. Not the riff-raff, but the pointlessness out the way of making an offer for a player just for them to come back saying, sorry, I don't want to join.
That's always been a feature, That's another thing that's been a feature. You could get your assistant to filter out unrealistic targets. That was something that you could do. What I do like about it, though, is how you can scale how interested they are.
Yeah.
Like, sort of way... I always have it on doubtful because I always think that I can persuade them with these promises, which... I think are a bit overpowered, but I sort of promising players you're going to win silverware 3 years down the line when you're probably not going to be at the club anymore. But no, I think that's a good addition. And with these scouting meetings, I don't think I've ever done one. I actually think they're a bad addition because you end up with. It's realistic in the fact that you're going to have 90 sheets of paper of all these scout reports and you have to sift through them, but it's not fun. it's really not fun. So
the match briefings as well.
I don't think they work particularly well. The match briefings, I tried them a few times early on in the game and they didn't work for me, so
I think they are actually better for the casual players because we probably don't have the time to sit through tactical briefings before every game. We just want to get on with it. Whereas maybe casual players might think, no, I'm going to sit through this. I'm going to, do it slowly, but do it the proper way. And I think that's good because it allows, as you said earlier, people to have the different chance to play, the game how they want to, which is a massive thing with FM. I mean, with FIFA, you can't really play it any differently. You advance, you play, do a few transfers maybe.
You try and score.
Yeah, exactly. But FM is just one of them that, I know it sounds sad, but sometimes during the day I think, I wonder what's going to happen in FM tonight. I've got a really big game, and you could say it's sad or whatever, but if a game can do that, then it is done very well, I think. If a game can entice you to play it, I think it's done very well. But I think that a lot of that depends on you creating the experience for yourself, having the correct save, having the correct players, maybe YouTube having the right series in terms of views. We talked about motivation a lot before. I'm sure we'll do a week, but we'll just talk about YouTube for now. It'll be really, really good. But
maybe next week.
Yeah, maybe next week. But I think that we it's a lot based off the saves you do, because I know in the early days you might not have enjoyed some of the earlier journeyman stuff as much. But I think now you're quite enjoying the Stoke one. Whereas I just think you go through bad patches with FM, but if you stay with it, especially if you're quite an avid player of the game, if you stay with it, then I think you'll do all right. But my game time isn't quite as big as yours. That's purely because you've left yours on. I've only played. It's quite shocking actually. I've only played 158 hours, and I think I've made probably about the same amount of videos, which is interesting.
As what? Oh, 150 videos.
Yeah.
Okay. Really? How have you done 150 videos?
Well, I said about. You know, I can be about 50 out.
I've only done 100 episodes of The Journeyman, so.
But I did do 20 episodes of. 14 of the team guides at the start.
True, yeah. No, I've played 1,300 hours, which is massively skewed, because if you don't know, I've been simulating well into the future, and it's taken an absolute age now. It only does about 8 seasons overnight now, so it's, you know, I'm at about 2,600. Hoping to get about 2,750 for the next video, but it's becoming a bit of a grind now. But on average, I play about 600 hours on Football Manager a year.
Yeah.
That tends to be where I'm at. But a game that can do that, a yearly release that can get you playing from November to November every single year.
Yeah.
It has to be one of the best game series of all time. It has to be, but it's not looked at that because it's only us nerds that play it, isn't it? So
exactly, it's a very niche market. I think some people would look at FM and go, boring. But then I would do that with a lot of games. Put it that way, you know, a lot of games I look at and think, what the hell's the fun in that? It's just your perspective, really, you know. And yeah, Jack Watson's right, saying that, you know, FIFA, you're in full control. You can even use the slides, whereas in FM, the only really control you have is you can save your game or not save your game, quit the start screen and come back in again. I've done that many times before. So,
it is Portsmouth save. That's how he's.
Every episode, yeah. But in all seriousness, I think it's just really one of them good games. So this year, out of 10, I would probably have to give it at least a good 8. Because I can't. If we were to do, I mean, you can do these with F1 games easy, but with FM, if there was I think we probably could only give 1. If there is one thing that you would like to see added to FM or improved, realistically, obviously you're not going to have 3D talks of the players. You're not going to be able to, you know, actually interact with the players themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah,
no,
it's true.
I'm joking. I'm joking. VR.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But if there's one feature you think could I've been improved or added, what would it be?
Oh, that
would better your experience of playing the game, not just for show that you might use for a bit, but
you know what? It might sound weird, but nothing. You know, all of the things that I've been putting in forums over the years, which I don't tend to do much now, but, you know, from team meetings to, what else have I put in? Team talks, press conferences, all of that sort of stuff is immersive. I think, you know, that there's stuff that can be refined, but I don't think there's any massive features that I would like to see. There's obviously this whole argument, why can't we spend our wages on things? And it's just like, well, you know, it's there for sure, really, isn't it? And, you know, with the likes of stuff I do in my YouTube series where I go and buy a house, you know, it's stuff that you can make up yourself with it. And, yeah, I don't know. I might disagree once you say yours. I might be like, oh, yeah, that'll be cool. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would like to see in Football Manager.
I mean, in terms of the match day experience, you've got shouts now, which is good. You know, well, you've had it for a little while, but you know, you can shout instructions at your players. The press conferences are good, but then after a bit, they can get a bit repetitive. You know, have you solved this issue with such and such manager? Yes, there's no issues with me and the other manager now. He's been quite whatever the bloody word is about this, you know, he solved all our problems.
Magnanimous or something.
The one.
I can't say it though. Magnanimous or something.
He's one of the best guys in football. We even went down the pub for a drink after the game. Yeah. And the most classic one is, on your birthday, what are you going to go and buy?
Football Manager.
Oh.
I don't know. I've never had that because my birthday falls during the international period. So.
Well, one of the answers, and it comes up every year, is about that sheepskin jacket.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on Twitter actually.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they said, "I'm gonna go and buy the latest Football Manager." That would be funny.
There was one today actually that Bad Jokes put on. I don't know if you saw it. I'm gonna have to have a look, 'cause I can't quite figure what the punchline was. But basically, it was either because it was Pancake Day today, or because it was Pancake Day in 2020. But basically, it was a very interesting pun. See if I can find it now.
While he's looking for that, I just want to talk to you guys that are watching. Leave your feedback in the chat now about how you think this first episode has gone, or this podcast, whatever we want to call it. We really want your feedback, things we can change, and also ask us any questions, topics for debate that you want us to discuss in the last sort of 10 minutes while we just finish off this Football Manager thing. That would be great if you could do that now. Thanks.
Yeah. Right. The headline is Brentford toss Sheffield Wednesday aside on Pancake Day. Is interested.
That's cool. They used to do stuff like that in FIFA. I don't know if you remember when Jeff Stelling used to do that tiny little introduction at the start of every match. And
when it was like Christmas Day, it'd be Happy Christmas. Welcome.
So when you play an Ultimate Team on Christmas Day or Bonfire Night, he would actually say it's Bonfire Night, and if say it was Jack Wilshere's birthday, he would go, "Oh, he's playing on his birthday today," and it's just fun little things like that I think are quite cool. So yeah, I think I would give it an 8 as well, maybe even a 9. Football Manager. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about it, but we'll definitely Football Manager will be a recurring theme on this podcast anyway, because we both love it so much. So yeah, do any of you guys have any questions or things you want us to talk about regarding Wenger in or Wenger out? What are your guys' opinions? And also, what do you think of FM18? Toby looks like he's got something to say.
I have. It's a bit of film and TV now. I said we weren't going to talk about film and TV, but I need to talk about this. Do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I've already told you this. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Chris Tarrant? I've already told you this.
Yeah, you have, but I'm going to act surprised.
Okay. Well, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? It used to be hosted by Chris Tarrant. It's apparently going to be revamped with... Go on, have a guess.
Richard Hammond.
Oh,
James
close.
May.
Close.
Chris Evans.
Close. Oh, you're nearly there. Jeremy Clarkson.
Not gonna happen.
No.
Where did you read this? The Sun?
I did.
The Star?
No. I think it was Female Weekly. I don't even know if that's a paper. But it was on my Apple News feed, and it came up, and I thought, that's interesting. But then again, a lot of things come up news-wise these days that do my head in. But there we go. I can't think of what else I was going to say. Film and TV-wise, let's have a quick look at the news.
So you've designated Survivor's been renewed yet? I'm just going to change something that's bugging King.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he said that we should change our profile picture. So to solve that issue, I've literally just swapped us around, and now I'm on the Captain Goodspeed side and Toby's on the TIJ side. So hopefully that's a bit better for you, King. But thank you for the feedback. He seems to like it. He said it was good.
Well,
he said he loves it. So yeah, and obviously, thank you to those of you who have come along. Hopefully it will be something that grows a little bit, and we'll have a bit of a chat every week. But we are planning on doing it Tuesday, 8:00 for most weeks. Obviously, if we can't do it,
even though it's not going to be for next week, which is quite ironic.
Yeah.
But I think we should be able to do Thursday. So we're going to do it every week, mostly on Thursday. But I think probably in the stream before, we will tell you guys when it's going to be. But they're always scheduled on Joe's channel anyway, about an hour before. So oh well. But King has a question for us, so fire away. Trouble is, it's like a 30-second delay, isn't it? So we're gonna have to like sit here making small talk for like 30 seconds.
Jeremy Clarkson is who wants to be a millionaire is a bit past it now. Anyway, if they are going to bring it back, they should bring it back with Chris Tarrant. What are your guys' favourite film and TV show?
Should we start with film?
Oh, okay.
Oh. I don't have a favourite film because there's too many to choose from. I don't have an ultimate favourite film, but films I would include that I would go back and watch again and again and again. Two sport ones, Rush and Senna. They were really good.
Okay. I've never seen them.
Really?
Never seen them.
Yeah, just go. We're meant to have a film and TV. Right, saying that I've never watched like 99% of any good films. Rush and Senna. I would have. Well, yeah. Let's just go Rush and Senna. Why not? And then TV show. It depends what genre you're talking about. At the moment we're both really liking Designated Survivor. But all time, I do quite like a good comedy. And I'm not into new comedy because I think it's too politically correct and crap, to be honest. But there we go. But don't worry, I don't watch Roy Chubby Brown or Ken Dodd. In terms of comedy, either Mrs. Brown's Boys, suggested by the mug, Joseph's Attack that I'm into Agnes Brown, Mrs. Brown's Boys, and probably Dinner Ladies. And that, although it seems like a really stupid title, it's very funny. But other than that, I can't really think of anything. But we will talk about film and TV. Probably not so much because I don't really watch too many films and TV shows, and my Xbox just switched on it. It's a classic, that is. Classic video stuff, that is. Walking Dead and Peaky Blinders. Now, I can't stand Walking Dead. I haven't started watching Peaky Blinders yet, but I'll let you speak.
It's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Right, for films, I've just got 4 DVDs off the shelf there. These are films that I've watched about 1,000 times each, and will continue to watch them thousands of times. First one is The Rock with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harris, 1996. So it's actually older than me. Which, not many things are older than me. I'm that old. No, I'm only joking. But it's a very, very good film. I would recommend it. If you like action films, very good. Another one, they're all action films, basically. Air Force One with Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman. Very good film. And Donald Trump actually used the music from this film as walk-on music to some of his presidential speeches, or when he was a candidate, which I thought was quite funny. Another one, Face Off with John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Another cracking film. And Con Air with Nicolas Cage and John Cusack and John Malkovich.
You do quite like Nicolas Cage.
I do, but these are all part of a trilogy, actually, which is it's a bit of an out there trilogy. The Rock, Face Off, and Con Air are all part of the Beige Volvo trilogy, because there's a cameo of a beige Volvo in each of them, which is quite a cool fact, actually. So yeah, there's some of my favourite films. TV series, NCIS I watch weekly. Designated Survivor is very good. 24 is one of my favourite TV series of all time. I used to enjoy CSI Miami a lot. Dallas was very good as well. Struggling to think. Ultimate Force was a good one. That was a good 10, 12 years ago. I really shouldn't have been watching that, but I did. John O'Martin's enjoyed the podcast. I'm very glad to hear it. He has another question. Is there a film coming out that you quite like the look of? I'll ask you in a second. John O'Martin likes in FIFA the intros they do on derby games, even the lesser derbies like Stoke and Port Vale. Yeah, it's quite a cool feature. It's nice to know they put little things in there. But yeah, anyway, any films you're looking forward to as a final question of the night?
There's a few, actually. There's Deadpool 2. I don't tend to watch many superhero films, but that one was really good, the first one. It's actually come out, but I haven't watched it yet. The Darkest Hour, Gary Oldman about Churchill. That's one I'm really looking forward to watching. But apart from that, at the moment, I'll be honest, I'm not massively into films. I'm not really one of them people who has to go to the cinema to watch it once a day. You know, I might go to the cinema twice a year, maybe max. Because there's a lot of films, I'll just wait till it comes out on Netflix or other streaming sources. But I'm trying to think of anything I'm looking forward to. Maybe stuff I'm looking forward to watch that has been out for a while. I'm just trying to look on Wikipedia now to see if there's anything I've got that I could watch. I mean, people have raved about this Greatest Showman, but I definitely don't think that's anything that's going to be any in my cup of tea. There's a few films that have come out. I mean, there's the new Blade Runner, is it? That's meant to be all right. I'm trying to think of anything I've watched recently that was good. I still haven't watched Dunkirk yet.
Same, actually, yeah.
Good. I mean, there's a lot. I've got. I'm not going to actually post it in the chat, but we will talk and see that this is just all future topics for future weeks. I know, there are some weeks we need to talk about YouTube. We can talk about films one week. I've literally got an Excel file with about 150 films I need to watch.
I thought you were going to say 150 topics for the podcast. I was very worried there. Very, very worried.
Not quite that many. Your heart skipped a beat there. But I do need to get more into film and TV. But I think the problem is...
I think things are just moving on from film and TV now. I think gaming is the sort of new film industry. It's a bold claim, but obviously we've still got the older generations who watch films. But I think if you looked at a bog standard group of 16, 18-year-olds, I would say the biggest percentage will be gaming or Netflix, streaming stuff, Like, it is still film and TV, but I think it's not as we know it. It's not sort of sitting down watching ITV every week at 9 o'clock, for a certain series. I think things are just changing in media, and that's something that's going to happen. And I think me and you, both of us, aren't that into film and TV, but I'm not sure a lot of people are now. Certainly not as many as... I don't think you'll ever have, like, in the 80s where 30 million people were watching stuff. You
don't get people regularly coming to wherever you work, or, you go to school and they say, oh, did you watch that on the telly last night? It's actually more, did you see that video on Twitter? Did you see that video on... In fact, it's a lot more. Exactly. A lot more now. And, well, that's another topic for another week. People on their phones constantly seem to have lost the ability to communicate with people. That's another topic for another week again. But
this podcast is going to be fun, isn't it?
I know we can get into a lot of contentious arguments here. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I probably have a balance of YouTube and TV.
EastEnders.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of them things, really. I've gone off EastEnders a little bit, but it's one of them things that I feel like I can't miss out on. It's weird. Because I've watched it for that long now. I think, well, I can't stop watching it. But there are times with TV series, soap operas, all that I think it differs, doesn't it? I mean, with series, you think, I'll trudge through this series because it'll be a bit better next series. But it's very hard, isn't it, really, for show writers. But it's 9:05. I don't think we need to keep you guys much longer. We're going way off topic now, and we can always talk about this in a future podcast. I think we're probably going to try and keep them roughly about an hour. Because if you guys are watching back, I completely appreciate that you're probably not going to have 2 hours free, whereas you might have 2 half-an-hour stints free. Or
3 20-minute stints, because that's hopefully what we're going to slice our podcasts into, so these 20-minute segments. But obviously this week, just a pilot. Thank you to anybody that's come along. A big thank you to Toby as well for dedicating his night to this. And, you know, he created all the graphics and stuff. So a big thank you to him. And make sure you go and check out his channel. I think it is next Thursday we said that we were going to do this.
Yeah.
As for topics, not really sure yet. Keep an eye on both of our Twitters, which, you know, will probably end up down here at some point in the description, and also on this graphic overlay, whatever, as we go on. We'll probably have some sort of consistent background, but yeah, we'll just see how it goes. I think it's gone really well tonight. I was worried that we'd be stuck for things to talk about, but I think we have a little bit much to talk about. I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
so
too much, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, a big thank you to you guys for coming along. And if you are watching this as a video, please leave a comment down below or tweet us, message us, and let us know what you think. We really want to hear. Even if you just say it was good, it was terrible. Any of those are appreciated, and we will take it all into account. And we're very new to this, so we wanna try and improve things a lot. So hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, make sure you do leave a like, and make sure you do go and check out Toby's channel for daily FM18 content. Subscribe my channel if you also like that and other things, and podcasts and streams. And I will be back tomorrow at 8 PM as usual, doing some Everton stuff. The joys. Anyway, anyway, thank you very much for coming along. We really appreciate it. Do you want to say anything else, Toby?
See you next week, I suppose.
There you go. See you next week. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely week. See you later.